Hey guys, so today we're going to go over how to write the general form of an equation into a standard form. So we're going to apply this to the equation of a circle, but keep in mind that this process is used to write the general to standard form of any conic equation that you'll see in this module. So we're going to use the process completing the square, which you have done in Algebra 2. But with the conics, we have two variables that we'll be using and applying these steps to rather than just one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to group the like variables. So I have 8x squared, or I'm sorry, x squared and 8x. So I'm going to write that first. And from there, I have y squared and minus 14y. And the rest I'll just bring down. Okay, so from here, make sure that the coefficient of x squared and y squared are 1, which they are. But if not, you'll just factor, let's say this was 4, and I'm just doing a for instance here. Let's just say this was 4. If it was to factor it out, you would factor, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. You would factor 4 out, leaving you with x squared plus 2x, just for the x's. So you would only factor it out for each one. So think of x as its own problem and y as its own problem for these steps. So that's what would happen. Just giving you an example, just in case it happens. And then from here, since the coefficient of x squared and y squared are 1, we're going to move on. And we're going to move c, which is the constant, to the other side of the equal sign. So that plus 52, I'm going to subtract it to the other side. So keep in mind, I am doing that because for each value or for each expression for x and y, I'm going to just make my own value of c. And there is a reason for that. So remember that in a quadratic, this is technically ax squared plus bx. I would like my own constant value of c, which is found using b over 2 squared. So for x, because remember you're doing this for x and for y, c equals b over 2 squared, which b would be 8. 8 over 2 would be 4, and 4 squared would be 16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 16 to the x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now, I can't just add 16 out of nowhere. If I do it to one side of the equal sign, make sure that you add 16 to the other side of the equal sign. So I'm also going to add 16 to balance this equation out to the other side. I know it looks fairly messy. We'll clean that up in a minute. And then from here, remember we're doing step 4 twice, once for x, once for y. So this would be plus y squared minus 14y, and then I'm going to find my new value of c for y. So c would equal b over 2 squared. b is negative 14, so negative 14 over 2 is negative 7, and negative 7 squared is 49. If you plug this into the calculator, make sure that the negative 14 over 2 is in parentheses and the square is outside. Otherwise, it'll come out as negative 49. Keep in mind in this case, c will always be positive because when I square a value, it's always positive. So I will put plus 49, and again, to balance it, whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So what was the point of creating my own c if I already had a c value? Well, to complete the square, that means when I factor it, it will say the exact same thing. So for instance, factoring again, I need two numbers that multiply to be 1 times 16, which is 16, and adds up to be 8. Those two numbers are 4 and 4, and over each number, you'll put x. So the two parentheses will read x plus 4, which you can rewrite as x plus 4 squared, which is why we complete the square, because when we're done factoring, we should have the same parentheses, hence it'll be squared. Same deal with the y. I need two numbers that multiply to be 49 and add up to be negative 14. So two numbers that multiply to be 49 and add up to be negative 14 are 7 and 7. And if I put y over each one of them, it'll say y minus 7 squared. And on the other side, I'm going to add up all three of these numbers, and this will give me 13. So that's completing the square. Notice that when I write the standard equation of a circle right underneath it, everything lines up to find the radius and the center. The center would be negative 4, 7. Remember, it's always the opposite sign because it's minus for h and k. So that would be negative 4 and 7. And your radius, if r squared is equal to the square root of 13, I'm going to write that here. If r squared equals 13, that means to get r, or the radius, I get rid of the square by square rooting it. R is a length, so I'll only use the positive value of the square root. So r equals to the square root of 13. So we have the center, we have the radius, completing the square. All right, guys, hope this helps.